Hello and welcome to CMM 325 Computer Mediated Communication for Summer 2019. So whenever you first log into Blackboard, this is going to be the main screen. You're going to see our little logo up at the top there. You'll also see any announcements. You'll notice that there is an announcement already up here for the first quiz. We'll talk more about those due dates in a second. But when you get to the course for the very first time, what you're supposed to do is come over here to the course orientation hyperlink. So click on that. And technically, you should have already done this because this is where you found this video in the first place. And this screen is basically going to give an overview of how this course is laid out. So first we have the video there. Hopefully you're currently watching it, or you wouldn't be listening to my voice in the first place. First thing we have here is how to find help when you need it. So I'm going to click on that and just show you a couple things. There's some tutorial videos here. This is primarily about Blackboard itself. So if you have questions about Blackboard, this is where to come for those. If you have other types of questions about support, we do have a support tab up here. I'm going to go ahead and open that for you, which is also basically looking at support on our campus. It does have some Blackboard facts, but it also has institutional policies. It has academic support. So if you need information about the Center for Student Success or the Disability Resource Center or the library, you can find all of that stuff right here when you click on that support tab. So it's actually very helpful to have it right up there at the top for you. From there, we're going to have a thing called Use the Discussion Board. That's our next major folder, and it has a lot of information. It has some basic information here on how to post into a Blackboard discussion if you've never done that before. There's also a couple of videos here about Blackboard discussions. It also has things, this one right here, this full disclosure on discussions. Very, very, very important file. You need to look at this one. Basically, this is going to tell you exactly what my expectations are for discussions. Now, so does the rubric, and we'll look at that in just a second. There's also this next one here. It's called Setting Up Your Discussion Image. One of the nice things about Blackboard is it allows us to upload an image so that whenever we post something, our image will be next to it. It's kind of nice. It makes things a little bit more personable and not as disjointed as just seeing people's names. So it does add a little bit of familiarity to the discussion process. And we'll actually learn more about why that's important later on this semester. So go ahead, take a second and upload your avatar right here to Blackboard. We also have our very first orientation discussion. So this is our first discussion that will be graded. So go ahead, click in there, and you're basically going to give us a picture of yourself and tell us about you. Kind of let us know a little bit about who you are, what you like to do in life, and everything else. The next thing that we have on here is the discussion board rubric. Now, the discussion board rubric is basically going to let you know how you are going to be graded on these discussions on a weekly basis. Now, what I have right here in front of you is an image. I also have the hyperlink to the actual discussion board rubric as well. Please make sure that you read this carefully, because when it comes down to it, this is what I use to grade your discussion participation on a weekly basis. So it is very, 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 very important. And the basic categories are what I look for in an initial post. So when you respond to my first discussion question, then there's the responses to your peers. Then there's writing skills, and then lastly is timeliness. Now, I do want you to pay attention that 30% of your grade is that initial post, 40% is your responding to your peers. So make sure that you take the time to really participate and respond to your peers. As you can see over here, to get an A+, there is an expectation that you're going to respond to at least 2 or more peers in the discussion. In fact, you're expected to do 2 or more peers just to get a C, but there's other requirements that go along with that to get that A+. So just make sure that you respond to at least 2 peers every week if you're going to hope to pass this class. Next, of course, the writing skills. It's basically, there is an expectation that you're going to use correct English and grammar and spelling words. So please just take the time to do that. Next, we have timeliness and frequency. Your initial post in a given week is due by Thursdays at 11:59 p.m. Now, that gives us a chance then to respond to each other, which is why I put that deadline of 11:59 p.m. on Thursdays, because that gives you until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. to respond to your peers. So again, initial posts are due at 11:59 p.m. on Thursdays, and your responses are due by 11:59 p.m. on Sundays. You will start to lose points if your initial post is late. So that is the discussion. Again, please take the time to go through there. The next one we have here is the syllabus and course policies. I'm going to go ahead and click in there for you real fast. Didn't click the first time. First thing you're going to see right off the bat is the syllabus for this class. I'm going to go ahead and just open it for you here. Again, I am Dr. Jason Wrench. Here is our CRN number. Here's my information. It technically has my office number in there. I don't plan on being in my office very much during this semester, so that is not probably going to be the easiest way to get a hold of me. Notice I didn't even put my office phone number there, because if you called and left a message, it could be September before I actually got it. The easiest way to get a hold of me is going to be via email. We also have the ability to, if we need to have a face-to-face conversation or we need to go over a quiz or something, we always have the ability to Skype and do that. So that is always a possibility. Then, of course, there are the required texts. There are 3 required texts for this class. We'll look more at those in just a second, but this gives you the information on what those are. We have the learning objectives, then breaks it down by the assignments, talks about what is an online course and makeup stuff. Then it has university policies. Please make sure you take a second to read all of this. So let's look at a couple different things when it comes to the course assignments. I do want to point out, again, like I already said, as it says right here in red, you should make your first post no later than Thursdays at 11:59 p.m. And then again, for each discussion question posed, you must respond to at least 2 of your peers. It's been my experience that students who do not do well in this class, it often is because of the discussion. So make sure you keep up with that. There are also weekly, what I call content quizzes. The quizzes are primarily going to cover information from the 2 different textbooks. So again, that is where those quiz questions are going to be coming from. Big note, during week 1, there are 3 quizzes, so please pay attention to that. The first one is the orientation quiz, which is going to kind of quiz you over a lot of this information that is in this video, but also the information in this course orientation. There's also an APA style quiz, so if you're not familiar with APA style, you need to learn that. There is a tutorial on how to do that, and then of course there's a subsequent quiz that goes along with that. You can take that quiz as many times as you want to get the grade that you want to have in this class. So if you want to have an A and you don't get an A the first time on the quiz, maybe study a little bit more on APA style and then retake that quiz. And of course there's the module 1 content quiz, which is going to cover information from chapters 1 out of both of the primary course textbooks. You're also going to be writing 4 reaction papers, and basically the goal of these is for you to take the content that we are learning in class and apply it to your own computer-mediated communication experiences. So again, that is the big thing there, is that as it says here, notice your papers must be directly related to CMC experiences and not just communication experiences in general or media experiences in general. So again, watch that. There's also going to be a final project. There's some information there. There's also some examples of types of final projects, but again, I'm pretty open when it comes to final projects. So if you have another idea, talk to me. Then we get to the actual tentative schedule, and basically you're going to see that it breaks it down on a week-to-week basis as for what is going to be covered. As I already mentioned, this week we're covering Westerman et al. Chapter 1 and Guzman's Introduction, which is Chapter 1. There's the orientation quiz, the APA style quiz, and quiz number 1. And of course, the weekly discussions. So just know that every week you can come right back here to the syllabus, but there's another easier way to follow what's going to be happening in this class, and we'll look at that in just a second. So that is basically the first big thing. Then you have the information here in the syllabus folder on course textbook information. Basically, I give you the information about the 2 primary textbooks. Again, that's the Westerman, Bowman, and Laughlin, Introduction to Mediated Communication, Social Media, and Beyond. And then there's Guzman's edited book, Human Machine Communication, Rethinking Communication, Technology, and Ourselves. I've also provided you the hyperlinks to their books, so if you don't want to go by the bookstore and you're out and not near the bookstore, you can come right here. They do have ebook and print packages for the first book. If you go to Peter Lang's website and look at the Guzman book, you'll also see that they also have the ebook version there, or you could always get a physical copy. So both of them are available as ebooks if that is a method that you would prefer to get your content. You are required to have both of these books starting on Monday. And so please make sure that you have them. I've given you the first chapters. You'll see right here for each of them, there's a chapter 1 PDF. That's for this week. So that gives you the content that you're going to need to have through this Sunday. But after that, you do need to have the course textbooks. There's also information here about the reaction papers and something called project-based learning. Please take the time to look at all of these things. There's also some sample final projects to kind of give you an idea about what some of these have looked like in the past. Then we're going to go back in here to the course orientation folder. And after that, you're going to see the check your grades. This is more information on Blackboard if you're not familiar with it. Here is where you're going to find that quiz. Notice this is the orientation quiz. And basically you have 10 to 15 questions. It takes 60 minutes to complete it. It should not take that long. The bulk of the information really is going to come from these folders, and predominantly on the syllabus and this video. Right under that is that APA style course and quiz. So this is where you're going to go in and watch that. I am going to note a couple different things about it. You will need Adobe Flash Player. So if it gives you a problem, just click on it and you can click allow, and you may have to download it if it's not something you already have. And then it'll pull it up. And so when you pull it up, this is what it's going to look like. And I'm going to turn that off because you don't need to listen to me twice at the same time. I also here have a notes version. I'll pull it up so you can see it. This is basically each of the slides in the quiz with the actual information that I was reading. So you do have both of those for you right there. Okay, then you get the summary and next steps. The next step is to go into the content folder. So if we come back over here on the side, I'm just going to go back to the home here, which is going to pull up our little banner, and you'll see your announcements. And then I'm going to go down here to right under course orientation is content. Content is where the bulk of the information for this class is going to be located. When you click on that, the first thing you're going to notice is it is broken down on a week-by-week basis for this summer. So let's go into the May 22nd to May 26th folder. So I'm going to click on that. And when you get in here, you're going to notice there's always going to be some videos for you to watch. There's going to be things for you to read. And then at the bottom, you're always going to have your discussions in a folder. You're going to have a quiz if you have one. And if you have a paper due that week, there'll also be a link down here for turning in that paper. So for the discussions, you can click on the folder, and that's going to basically take you in. You may end up with a screen that looks like this. This just lets you know that you need to log into the library to be able to see that video. So all you'd have to do is enter your user ID and password, and it'll take you right to that video. Right below that, there's other information here. There's another quiz, another discussion. So it has more information. So please make sure that you pay attention to both of those discussions. Because each week there are usually 2 to 3 different discussions depending on the content that week. But that's how it's laid out. So I'm going to go back and look in one more folder just to kind of show you what it looks like again. So we'll go into week 2 here. Again, you're going to notice there's videos for you to watch. You're going to come down, and then you're going to find your first reaction paper is going to be due next week. So that's going to be the hyperlink for that. There is also a quiz. One thing I do want you to notice, though, is there is a paper template. I'm going to click on this because I'm going to download it, and I'm going to open it in Microsoft Word. This becomes extremely, extremely important because it is pre-formatted for you in APA style. Now, I've even told you what you're going to write about in the different sections. So if you see something here that says like title of the paper, it goes here. That's where the title of the paper actually goes. You'll see on the beginning of the first page. It also goes there as well. So again, this should not be complicated. Do not reinvent the wheel. It has been my experience that some students, despite the fact that I give this template, will decide to do it on their own, and they end up missing important parts of the assignment as a result. So really, these reaction papers are designed to be very, very straightforward. So please take the time to read the template, to use the template. You'll notice that the template already has headings. Do not change these headings. Use these headings as they are. I've also given you some basic explanations here on references. And because the Guzman book is an edited book, that means each chapter is authored by a different set of authors. You have to cite each chapter separately. And so I gave you an example of what a chapter in an edited book looks like right here. So again, I've gone through and tried to make this as simple for you as possible and giving you a lot of examples down here to, again, make this easy. So please, again, like I said, don't reinvent the wheel. Use the template as it is. And then, of course, there's reaction paper, your quiz, and again, there's the discussions for this week. And so there's going to be a couple discussions in here and some just more information about some of the issues that are related to the discussions. So, and again, so when you go into that content folder, every week is going to be laid out the same. The most important part about doing this is just making sure that you keep up with everything on a week to week. If at any point you have questions, you can always email me right here. That's going to be the fastest way to actually get a hold of me. For the most part, I respond within 24 hours. On the weekends, it may take 48 hours, or if I am traveling, I don't plan on too much traveling during this course, but when and if I am going to be away, I will let you know. For example, this weekend, starting on Friday through Monday, I'm actually going to be at the International Communication Association's convention, which is being held in Washington, D.C. this year. So I am going to be down in D.C. this weekend. I will still have access to my computer, so I will still be available. I still will be checking in. But again, it may take a little bit longer just because I may not be looking at it during the regular day. And so it could be that I don't respond to things until sometime late at night just because I'm not going to be physically available because I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff at the convention. So I hope that you have understood this basic orientation video for CMM 325 computer-mediated communication. I look forward to working with all of you throughout the rest of the semester.